And it comes from one of my favorite theologians, the character Jules in the movie Pulp Fiction. And if you've ever seen this movie, sorry, this will make sense in a second. If you've ever seen this movie, there's a scene where Jules is sort of a violent gangster. And a guy unloads on him at point-blank range, and he sort of looks at himself and expected to be, riddled with bullets, and then he's totally fine. And he gets into an argument with his fellow violent gangster about whether this was a miracle, whether God had come down from heaven and stopped these mother effing bullets. That was the exact phrase from that movie. And they argue about it, and they go back and forth, and the guy says, and Jules, this is Samuel L. Jackson's character, says, well, look, it's not about whether God changed Coke to Pepsi or found my car keys. What matters is that I felt the touch of God. And I want to tell you a story because I think that, and again, I was motivated in part by having conversations with my 7-year-old. When we think about miracles, we think about Moses parting the Red Sea. But one of the really deep beliefs I have is that there are all of these small little miracles. And if you look for them, you actually see them. And I'll tell you, yesterday morning, I woke up, I went to bed around 1 in the morning, and I woke up around 3:30 in the morning. And, my mind is racing. I'm the kind of guy, I sleep like a baby. Even the past couple of weeks, going through this vetting process for the vice presidential nomination, I still slept like a baby. My head hits the pillow, I'm out, I wake up 6 hours later, and I feel great. That's how it's always been for me. But for some reason yesterday, on the morning of the biggest speech of my life, I've got 2.5 hours of sleep. My kids aren't going to be up for 3 or 4 hours, so I'm bored, alone, anxious, and thoughts are racing through my head a mile a minute. And I say very simply, after 30 minutes of trying to, count sheep or count backwards from 500 to 1, I finally just say, Jesus, please help me. And I'm not kidding, that was the last thing that I remembered until 3 hours later. And again, it's a minor thing, and I'm sure that people who don't believe in God will say, oh, that's just a weird coincidence, a minor little thing, but I felt the touch of God. And I think that if we look out there and we look in this country, we look at our past and we hopefully envision a future, we remember that there's a lot of little touches of God in our past, in our present, and in our future. We just have to look for them. Thank you. God bless you guys, and thanks for having me.